Hello everyone and welcome to the Terraform Homestead. This week we have something really fun for you guys. This is part one of our Hyperadobe tiny house build. This is all of our bag work going in, all of our learnings, all of our experimentation. Hyperadobe is such a cool material to work with because it is super easy, super DIY friendly. It is very inexpensive. It will literally last centuries if you're done right. And basically, you don't need air conditioning or heating, very, very little out here in these desert climates because that building soaks up so much heat during the day and then releases it into the building at night. We use a lot of our natural dirt and sand and just a little bit of cement to hold everything together, layer after layer after layer. Such a fun project. Let's get into this build.
I've been making them move gravel all day, so I think that's about the best reception that we're gonna get. So we're opening the bags, Hyperadobe. See, there's one person excited.
Spear of mesh. Wow.
All right, everybody, we are here. I am finally done procrastinating. But we're gonna do a few test bags, learn some things, figure out our ratios. So we got our first little test wall going over there. That is just native soil. And then this batch, we're gonna do a 20-to-1 mix. So it's 3 buckets that are 3.5 gallons to 2 quarts of, or a half gallon of Portland cement. Trying these different batches to see what holds up best. And see how little cement we can get by with. I wanted to give you guys an update on what we have here. So this is my design for our compass for Hyperadobe build for all of our round buildings. Basically the way this works is we have this in the center of this whole area. We have a like 20-foot pole that basically bolts in right here, slides in, bolts in. We have this ring that slides on top of that pole and a chain coming off that to a fixed distance that is marked. Put these little brackets underneath here. So what we're gonna do now is mix some concrete, put a couple cement blocks down there. Good morning everybody. Today we are getting our gravel delivery for our Hyperadobe test tiny home. So usually I'll go pick it up in the truck. The truck has been having some issues lately. The drivetrain was about to fall out and the mechanics told me if I put any weight in it, it's going to break. So having 5 tons delivered, we only need about 1.5 tons for the tiny house. 5 tons was the minimum. So getting it delivered for the little tiny and the big house at the same time, which is kind of cool. So they'll be here any moment. Today what we are working on is getting the gravel in for our foundation. So we had a big pile of gravel delivered this morning. I think he delivered 5 tons in total. I think we're putting about 1.5 tons over here. We're getting that in using our water level, getting everything nice and level, and then hopefully today, maybe, because this is going really fast, we'll be able to start doing bags.
Awesome.
I think I need to put a pin in before, we'll see if it falls out. It may fall out, but.
Alright, start going. Oh, yeah, that bar is right.
Yeah. The fancy funnel, like everybody on the internet told me, did not work. So quickly built a bucket funnel thing out, and it just broke. And all hell's broken loose. Day one.
Day one!
It's pretty good. We didn't start till afternoon, right?
Enter our lives, you have nothing to fear. Oh, how did you die? Possess me and cry. Yeah, do as you will, but don't you lie. Can't you see, can't you see, can't you see I'm in pain? Cried in the morning, got a bottle of paper, she can't forget her name. She wore black dresses,
Black dresses.
never smiled in the morning, got a bottle of paper, she can't forget her name.
First bag down.
Bag! Wow.
If we were doing Earthbag, this would be very disappointing that we've put this much work in and got one bag, but because this is 60 feet long, I'm gonna say it's okay. Almost done with the foundation course. Yep, this is the foundation. Cool. Yeah, it's a little wet.
Course number 3 going.
Course number 3. Only like 37 more. That's perfect.
Measurement.
We got our box in. That's going to be our form for the concrete. Got these extension lines in. So basically what we're going to do is when we get the railroad ties up, drill a hole through all the way through the railroad tie and just slide it onto there. I can then heat up that end and bend it over. So that'll tie our ties into the slab. I don't like using adhesives out here because they just don't last very long. So I think this like hard mechanical connection is going to do a lot better. And then our bags just go right up against that and no drama. We got our posts in, some rebar scrap into the bags. So that's going to lock our threshold into the actual bag work. Got our remesh to reinforce the concrete. Got the concrete poured, got some cool rocks stuck in there. So technique I learned on the bus desk was there's self-leveling concrete, which is really awesome and does some cool swirly sort of pattern vibe things to it. It's really expensive, it's like 25 bucks a bag. But if you just fill up the bulk of it with regular concrete, that's like $3 a bag. And then what I do is just put that self-leveling right on the top. It's a lot cheaper and looks really cool. So I got some quartz and stuff in there. One thing I caught that I'm glad I caught before I went all the way was we're leaving the back open because the door will open inwards. And so I want to get a nice, good, tight threshold on there so we're not having bugs and cold and mice and stuff like that getting in. Learned that the hard way on the pump house. Everything I learned out here is the hard way. And so we kept the back open. That's nice and level. We'll dry off, or we'll get all leveled off once everything dries out. Good morning everybody. We're here on, I think, day 4 of this build. And this weekend we are pushing to get 4 courses done. So that'll give us about another 2 feet of what will be eventually 12 feet. Crew's been working really hard this week, getting dirt, getting sand. We've actually got 15 tons of sand coming next Friday because we learned just going to the wash, it's like 45 minutes to get 1/2 ton of sand, and we need a lot. We're just making this up as we go, not gonna lie, but I think this is gonna work. We got these strapped in. We're getting these boards to kind of brace the two together. It's just a temporary solution until we actually get it up on the wall and start getting bags around it. I think they'll be pretty rock solid once we do that. I got a hole drilled. Did not have a billet bit long enough. So here's what we did. It worked. Now I'm gonna drive a piece of rebar through just to clear out that hole. Make sure it's all good so that when we lift the super heavy thing, it slides in a lot easier. I need some muscles. We got the rebar going through the concrete. I got those bent over so we have a physical connection. This is gonna be beefy. I think it looks so cool. These right here, just temporary to keep it all tight while we get the walls up. I'm gonna put the straps back around it. But yeah, this is pretty freaking cool. We've got our concrete threshold. Downside is I got one more to do. Here we are with our second door frame post. Still freaking just beast of framing here. Good. We are almost done with course number 4. That'll put us 10% done with the bags in 4 days. Today's day 4. Got our door frame in. Super excited about that. It looks absolutely beefy, really cool. We are wrapping up day 4. Coda's coming over here to eat something, probably something important. What are you doing, buddy? Are you gonna pee on the house? All right, good talking to you. We have started on course 5. It's starting to look like something now, which is really cool. Yeah, shout out to Tiny Shiny Home. I visited them a couple days ago and they really helped out getting a mix, just seeing how it's supposed to look versus what we kind of did the first couple courses. And so we've got everything really nice and leveled out, and yeah, I'm hoping we can start getting 4 or 5 courses a week. We're gonna shoot tomorrow for at least finishing this course, 1 more full course, and maybe another. But we'll see how motivated people are. Everyone kind of worked pretty hard today. So yeah, checking out for the night. Crew's cranking away on the next course. I'm working on stairs, so we got all these cut. I'm getting just some little details put on, and then we're going to be Sosugi bonding all of these and getting them up. With the next course, we'll have the first stair go in, a little spiral up to the loft. Got our first stair in, so eventually I'll need to build some little supports to go under these, but we'll basically have kind of a spiral staircase going up. We got our first conduit lines in, so those are basically going to be so we can feed electricity to here. And I think when we're all said and done with this, we're going to be moving our camp electrical batteries and everything over here because it's going to be the most secure temperature controlled place. This is going really fast though. I mean, we're 5 days in and already, I think, gotten 2 feet of bags done, something like that, if you count the underground portion. You know, if we're getting 2 courses a day done a couple times a week, I think we can get this done pretty quick. To give you guys a little tour, we got our first stair in. I don't know if you can see, there we go. And so I will get some supports under there. That's going to go up to our little loft area here, and then we're going to experiment and do a little step down. So we kind of, you make a right and you go up the stairs, you make a left, you go down the stairs to a little cozy den hangout area sort of thing. The plan right now is under the stairs where we've got our conduit going through. That's where we're going to start housing our solar setup. Yeah, we got all of our stairs cut, Sosugi bond, and started getting them oiled. Hello everybody. We are on day 6 of our build. So I'm over here starting the day with these. So these are some old drain irrigation something pipes. I don't know, something I found cheap at Home Depot. And we're getting these cut down so that we can make some bottle bricks. So what are bottle bricks? Bottle bricks are old wine bottles, liquor bottles, things like that. we embed in the wall, and it looks really cool. Lets the sunshine through, and also uses some of the waste that would go to the dump into a piece of art. Today's, I think, day 6, and we've done 7 courses now. Yep, 7. It's coming along. I think we're going to try and crank out 6 courses a week is sort of the goal. So in about a month, we'll be done with bag work. Started playing with the bottles, so we'll have to see how this dries out. But I think if we can make it work, this is going to look really, really cool. We just got a bunch of sand, about 15 tons for our build. This is all concrete cement sand. It's going to help us out, big time savings. I would have preferred to have gotten everything from the land, but with my truck being old and the wash being about 20-minute drive away, it was just a lot of time going out to the wash, doing 45 minutes or so per half ton. We are on course number 8 right now. It is a nice, cold, blistery Arizona blizzard winter day. Last 2 days has been super rainy and cold and windy. We've finally gotten just a little bit of reprieve, a little bit of sunshine. So we're gonna get out here and try and get as much of a course done as we can until the wind picks back up. Some exciting things we're working on today. We're getting our second layer of bottles in. We're getting our second stair in. We're just over 2 hours in and almost done with this full course. I think we're getting quicker at this. Definitely think we can get 4 courses done this weekend if we keep at this pace. Our bottle wall's really coming together. I think this is going to look awesome once it's all cobbed over and everything. Kind of going variable, just kind of a random sort of color pattern, depths of bottles because they're all different, so there's no point in trying to find consistency in here. We're 8 days in, we're on course number 9. We're getting to the point of it being difficult to jump up here. Just been cranking along, and I've just been trying to keep up with them whenever we are doing electrical. So I'm getting all those boxes in, we're getting the cleats built. Lots of stuff going on today. Crew has been fast today. So I've been trying to get in some of the electrical boxes, and you can see I got a little bit ahead of them, so I get a breather for a minute or two, but we still have to get 2 more boxes in. On this next course, I got to get the stairs in, and we're having some issues on bag work, so I sabotaged them so I can catch up. This is all our rough and electrical. Basically doing these cleats, pretty standard for Earthbag stuff. Just some old scrap wood, 2x4, or we're using some 4x4 because that's what we had. Nails, and you screw your box in. See, we've got another one over here, one more out over here somewhere. I think I need to actually buy that box. This is going to be our front porch. We've got a little outlet there. We're wrapping up on day number 8 of this build, and we're about 3.5 feet high, including our underground section. So we're over a quarter of the way done with this build. Super, super exciting in 8 days to get a quarter of the build done, and pretty soon windows are going in, window frames are going in, which means the courses are going to get shorter, less bags. So I think we can crank out maybe 2 or 3 courses a day pretty regularly, which will be awesome. Just really happy with how this is coming out. Our bottle work is doing really well. That's starting to actually take shape and become something. I'm just every day we work on this, I'm blown away with how quickly these walls are going up. We're wrapping up day 9, and we have gotten to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 courses, 9 days, doing really good. We're about 4.5 feet high right now. We're starting to get a little wonky, but we're gonna start fixing that in the next round. One thing I'm finding is with these bottles, it's a little bit difficult to tamp with these heavy bottle walls. What we're finding is this wall kind of shoots up, whereas this gets tamped down really nicely. I think what we're gonna do is on this next course, skip the little tail end here and then level everything out and then keep on going around. And the other big thing we got done today is starting to get these stairs reinforced. So we've got our 4th stair in, and these are just temporary reinforcements. Not the prettiest thing in the world, but they're pretty sturdy. Eventually I'll get some nice like tube steel and weld up a cool little staircase sort of thing. I think 1 more row up and we're gonna be having our desk area. So these will all kind of go to the floor, and then we'll have a little cutout, a pole going down to our desk area, and those stairs will sit on that. We got a hookup from one of the Bisbee community people because they're awesome. Reached out for bottles because we were running out, and got a stash from this old abandoned homestead out here. So this is what going to the supply store looks like when you're a homesteader.
Good morning everybody. Today we're working on going to Tucson. Probably getting some more supplies. Mostly my computer is all kinds of messed up, so getting a new battery for that. This truck is an 86. It has got so many problems, but you know, it's a good farm truck. And one of the funny things is the air conditioning doesn't work on it because basically it just pulls too much power from the truck and you can't hardly drive the thing if you've got the AC on. The other thing is it doesn't have heat. So we've got fully gloved, fully hatted, fully jacketed this morning getting to Tucson, and as the desert does, it's supposed to be like upper 70s, low 80s in Tucson today. So love the desert, love the desert. One thing that I like to mention when you're doing a budget build like this is on a Hyperadobe home or a tiny house, or what we will be doing our full build, it's important to find stuff or buy stuff, I should say, when you find it. We're still a really long ways out from putting in a door. We're still a really long ways from putting in a ceiling fan, but these were just screaming deals on stuff. Very cheap, good, perfect for what we need. So I'll buy it and I'll store it for a couple months until we need it. The nice thing is I'm not having to do what I'm doing now with the windows and most likely go pay retail prices for them, because we're at a point where I gotta get windows in. I can't keep doing walls until I get my windows and know what size I'm actually putting in. So I'm out here at our scrapyard looking for doors and windows. I don't love buying stuff new. If I can absolutely avoid it, I will. So love this place, Gerson's Building Materials in Tucson. Get a lot of stuff. Looks like I found a door and a security door, so really excited about that. Found a cool little ceiling fan thing. It's got the nice short blades, so it'll fit well in the space. And as you can see back there, we found a couple 3-inch PVC pipes. They were $4 a pop, so really cheap there. Those will be good for our bottle bricks. At Gerson's, we found a couple doors, really sturdy and nice. And then below that, you may be able to see our security door.
screen door, keep the bugs out, stuff like that. We are prepping our window frames and getting a lot more bottle work done, getting a lot of cleats done, so it's a lot of prep work today. I went to Tucson yesterday and got some more railroad ties. We got about 16 more. I think this should get us pretty close to what we need for the finished project. Working on these guys, and they're kicking up a lot of dust, and God knows what these things have been treated with. So went out and got the full welding respirator. Figure if it can protect you against poisonous welding fumes, that it will do pretty good against these guys. So far so good. Cutting these, I've gotten 3 done. Trying to figure out why this guy was so difficult to cut through. And it looks like I hit just the edge of a railroad spike. Hello everybody, it is day 12 of our Hyperadobe tiny house build. Wanted to start with day 11. Day 11 was a bit of a bust and actually ended up being a somewhat potentially dangerous situation based on some bad information that I was given, and honestly basically didn't research enough. Set up a situation that could have been really bad. Fortunately, nobody got hurt, nothing like that, no long-term repercussions, but I just wanted to go back and say this because it would have been really easy to just cut this whole section out of this video, out of this documentation, but I don't think that's helpful for y'all. Basically what happened was we were using railroad ties for our window frames, doors, stuff like that. It is something I've seen people use, other YouTubers on similar builds, so I didn't think twice about it and I started using those railroad ties. The issue was, after researching a little bit more, those railroad ties are extremely full of chemicals and stuff like that. They keep them preserved while they're on the ground for years and years and years. When we were cutting them, that smoke that was going off was extremely dangerous. I was very fortunate. After the first cut, I was like, hey, this isn't good. So I got a respirator and all that, so nothing major happened bad, but it did make me realize we need to slow down and we need to do some more research and just make sure this build is as safe as possible. I just wanted to get that out before we start today's build, because we kind of took a step back yesterday and we're going to be slowing this build down, really thinking things through and not rushing to get this up just for the sake of getting it up, especially if that comes at the cost of somebody potentially getting hurt or creating an environment that's not healthy and safe. With all that being said, we will still be using railroad ties, but we're only going to be using them for exterior uses where there's not an issue of like off-gassing or people touching them too much. I went to a big box store, which I really hate doing, and bought 2x12s for our window frames. So that's my project today, is to get these window frames built, get them up. The crew is already back there, getting another round on, getting another course on, really focusing on getting things level, getting things squared off, nice, neat. So yeah, it'll be taking a little bit longer to get each course down, but I think in the long run, it's the right thing to do. So I had a happy little accident actually here, because I went to art school, I can't do math. So it turns out that if you divide 16 feet by 2 feet, it's 8, not 4, which is what I thought. So I got our 2 window frames cut, and I still have most of one board and an entire other board. So at least I bought too much wood and not undercut myself. All right, so we are close on finishing up day 12. Got another stair in, and we got our windowsills cut and burned. I'm going to be assembling these a little bit later as we're finishing up this course. Really happy with how this turned out. The Sosugi bond, it just makes the wood look so pretty. These are our bottoms, so they're burnt a little bit more, but you guys, yeah, look at that. Good morning, everybody. It is day 13 of this build. Today is going to be a really fun day.
We're getting our window frames in, so things are going to be changing up a little bit. We're getting another stair in, so this will be stair number 6, and at the moment we're about 4.5 feet high, so we are over 1/3 of the way done with this bag work. Hoping this next week we can get a lot done. And we got our first window frame in, so our bags are getting shorter. It's kind of cool. I think we're gonna be doing a couple levels up, a couple more windows. We'll see kind of how it lays out, but I may do kind of a little staggered sort of 3-tier thing. I think that would be kind of cool coming down. This is our 2 foot by 2 foot window. Gonna get one more in over here so that we have some natural light coming in. Good morning, everybody. It is day 15. We didn't record much yesterday because we were just cranking along, get some more bags laid. We are at 17 full courses, and then we have 2 half courses done. So today's project, we're working on this front half, hopefully to get an idea of where the loft is going to land, so that way we can get a couple more windows in and make sure that's not all wonky. Moving right along, I think we're very, very close to the halfway point, which is really exciting, and just going to be laying some more bags today. Good morning, everybody. It is day 17 on our Hyperadobe tiny house build. We didn't film very much yesterday. It was pretty gray, windy, kind of messy weather all day, but we did get a lot done. We hit a couple big milestones. We got our last stair in. We got our windows figured out. It was funny because this was the first time I've actually really sketched and measured and stuff like that on this house, and we're, as you can see, over 6 foot tall on it so far. Today we're cranking, we're kind of filling in some gaps now that we got our loft figured out and where exactly that's going to go. We figured out exactly what windows we're going to have. We're getting some more boards burned and put together. So I'm getting 2 more window frames in today. 18 by 24 here before the bricks, and then 24 by 36 after the bricks. Right here is basically where our loft is going to line up. I think this is going to look cool because we've got a square 24 by 24, and then I'm going to evenly space an 18 by 24, so it'll approximately line up, and then we'll have a big one up here. So one thing I've learned is either make everything match exactly or make nothing match at all, and that way it looks intentional. I think this will be a cool little lineup inside. You're not going to see it a lot from the outside because this isn't really a place people walk, but it'll be cool. So we just had a water truck delivery out. That's always a very, very exciting day out here because it means we won't dehydrate and die. See, turn around back there. Usually these tanks, they deliver 4,000 gallons at a time, 5,000 gallons worth of tank. These will usually last us about 4 to 5 months with the community and everything. This time it lasted us 2. So I didn't realize just how much water that freaking Hyperadobe takes, but is what it is. It's part of the build cost. The unfortunate part was, since one of these tanks ran dry, I ended up burning out a pump because it went running all day while I was gone, which is really unfortunate, but now we know. All right, we are changing gears here just a little bit. We're gonna start working on the rock work for the base of our exterior. We're at a point where we need to get a chainsaw out here to cut these railroad
beams, railroad ties, and channel them in. Got a lot of complicated stuff coming up with the loft going in. What we're doing right now is just kind of getting our exterior cleaned up. And then we're going to get a little bit of sand down here as a foundation for those rocks. And then we're going to start laying rock work all the way around. This rock work is going to basically help protect our plaster when we get to it. You don't really want water getting on your plaster as much as possible, and especially splashing up from the ground, or if we do get big monsoon rains and kind of the water runs through. This spot, I'm not super worried about that because this isn't like a drain area, but this will protect our plasterwork and it'll look really cool. We've got a good crew out here, keep people moving. We're gonna have to get this done eventually. We're in kind of a holding pattern right here until I get the window frames built, we get those windows bought, and then we get our headers above these windows. So I figure we can go ahead and start on this. We got them here whole all the way, and then coming back, getting out of the truck broke, but I don't think anyone will notice. One thing that we did get a ton of progress on was rock work today. So this is something that it's not super necessary at this very moment, but it's a good project to like keep people moving while I'm working on stuff like that. We'll also start cobbing this exterior, just again, keep people moving kind of thing, because we'll have to do it eventually. So yeah, the crew's been doing great. It's looking really, really beautiful. This is gonna help protect our plaster and just look really, really cool and really solid and sturdy. So we are going to kind of build this wall up just a little bit, just for some aesthetics reasons, because we have kind of these 3 windows swooping up. So I wanted to keep this swooping up, kind of just keeping everything organic. I think when this is all said and done, you know, this building is just going to look like it popped out of the ground. We're not rocking this section right here because that's going to be a little concrete slab, but yeah, it's really cool. The nice thing about this is once we get this in, we can start cobbing over some of these bags and just have another project for people to kind of work on. I think we're going to finish up all the rock work all the way around today. It's looking really, really cool. In our rock work, we found this guy, which I love. I feel like I need to put some googly eyes on him and embed him in a wall somewhere. So that's probably what's going to happen. He's got a little monster mouth thingy. Made me laugh a lot. Hello everybody, this is Richard coming to you again. I have no idea what day it is on working on this because the last couple of weeks have been super weird. We've had the holidays and then we had crazy weather, so we've had like a couple hours here, a couple hours there, not really big full days in the last little bit, but we're back on it. Today is an exciting day. We're doing something a little bit different. I am working on these guys here. These are going to be our rafters for the loft. We got our railroad ties cut that will be our headers for the windows. Basically, that's going to put the weight on the railroad tie and not on the window frame, keep everything solid and secure. And yeah, I don't really know how this is going to go. It's very much a puzzle piece sort of situation because a couple of our windows go over our loft beams. So we got to kind of figure that out. It's going to be a little bit weird, but I'm confident we can get it done. Okay, maybe changing plans just a little bit. I think this second beam, looking at it, is my highest beam because this side I can't push that down any further. And so I think that's where it's got to sit. Yeah, this is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be, but everything is, so here we are. The problem I just ran into, these beams are 8 inches tall, those beams are 6 inches tall, which means I can get them level on the top, but they're not going to be level on the bottom. And I'm debating if I'm okay with that, because ideally what we were going to do is put recessed lighting and put decking underneath. I don't know that we're going to be able to do that now unless I get different beams, which I don't want to do because that's expensive. So trying to figure out what to do. Exciting day. I was just coming up to the gate because we got some batteries delivered and I see we got more bags. That's super exciting. Got the smaller bags for the rest of the small Hyperadobe build. We're going to be using 18-inch bags underneath the ground on the big house and then 16-inch bags above ground. This has been a lot bigger of a project than I thought it was going to be. I've gotten basically 4 of our beams pretty well in, so I only have 1 more to go, which shouldn't be too bad, just because it's only got 1 end sticking into a window. And I think I can cut a corner off to make that actually just sit on the beam, which would be really good. It's really only this second rafter that's not exactly where I want it to be, but I think it'll be okay. It is on the bags on that side, so. Did have a disaster strike. Beam hit this and it fell, and I'm sad. But such is life. We'll move on, get it picked up. I am excited. I think this is going to look really good when it's all said and done. We'll kind of dig down right here a little bit to give a little more headspace. I think hoping one more solid day working on this and we'll actually have the loft in. We'll be able to start doing bags again. I never thought I would be looking forward to bags so much, but it's probably not super relevant to this build, but just something I thought was funny and kind of interesting is, yeah, I shaved for the first time, like in 2 years, actually taking a razor to my face and not just the little trimmer thing. And it's cold. My face is cold right now. In this edition of Ninja Warrior. All right, here's where we are with the rafters. We've got all 5 of them in. And actually, they're looking pretty level. They're a little off here and there, but for the most part, pretty happy with how this is coming out. 4 of the 5 of these, there's only one of these beams that's completely in these boards. I'm not too worried about them because what I'm going to do is hurricane tie into these header boards. These header boards aren't going to go anywhere. Once we get decking on the top, decking on the bottom, stringer beams in between, this is going to be one really, really solid piece. I think we're in a good place. Now it's just getting small tweaks and stuff like that. My brain can rest a little bit, and hopefully this is in today. I think we got a couple more hours of sunlight, so I'm going to crank on this. All right, so what I got going on here is I had one of these C-channel beams, cut it in half down the center, and then basically I'm going to cut this into little strips, and that's going to be our L brackets to tie in the railroad ties to our C-channel. Got all these guys cut down. Now drill some pilot holes to make it easier to get them into the wood. And just like that, we've got a pile of L brackets that were free and that are actually a lot thicker than most L brackets. Yay! That's okay. It'll go. There you go. Made some good progress today. I'm actually feeling a lot better about this because we're back into a world I know and understand. Getting things mounted, getting them all squared up. Actually, everything's looking really square and nice. We've got some bolts going in. So basically each of these is going to get hung with 2 bolts. I may swap those out for something a little heavier duty, but I think they'll be fine for now. I know they'll be fine for now, and then we may swap them down the line before we actually get the bottom of the loft in. I'm gonna keep moving on this tomorrow and hopefully get the loft pretty well finished up so we can start bag work again. And as you can see, we've got this guy shimmed up. I'll probably stick a few more rocks under there just to keep it more secure. Once the bags are in these, I'm not worried about them moving at all. These are the brackets that I made out of some of the C-channel. We do have the beam resting on the bags, and then we have it bolted in. So with this, it's my first build. I want to overbuild to the extreme just to make sure. So I think once we get all that tied in, once we run our stringers that go across this way, all the way across, it's going to be one solid piece. Once we get bags in, boards on top and bottom, really not that worried about this as far as weight wise, because all this is holding is a bed and maybe some shelves and people. So I think it'll be okay and pretty rock solid once we get it all said and done. All right, that's it for today. I'll keep you updated as we do stuff tomorrow. Good morning, everybody. It is day 3 of this loft build here. Today, I'm optimistic that we'll be able to get all these rafters in and secured, that we'll be able to cut some of our decking boards and hopefully set ourselves up to get back on bag work really quickly here. I'm very excited to start getting this wall higher and higher. It seems like it's been stuck at this spot for like a month now. I know it's been only a couple weeks, but it seems like forever. All right, we got 4 in. They're all nice and level, going both ways, which again, I'm still really impressed at. Found a new bit to drill through these beams to get the bolts in. That makes it a lot easier. We've only got one more to go. I never thought I would say this, but I'm so excited to get back on bag work. It's been almost a month since we've actually gotten vertical growth on this building. We've been doing a lot. We got the rock work down. We got the loft in. That was a bigger project than I ever expected it to be. But just getting back to not having to think a lot and being able to just put dirt in bags all day. It's going to be a good day. Got some great weather out today. Very excited. We're going to get moving. You can see we're working on bag work. There's a lot of really weird little corners and stuff in here, so we're just kind of filling it in the best we can. And then we're going to continue this across
until we get even with our header boards or our beams, and then be able to get our roof decking on, or loft decking, sorry. This is our first course going higher that we've done probably about a month, so it's good to see this going up again. We're working on this run, so I think we're just gonna go back and forth on that until we get level, and then hopefully get our decking in either today or tomorrow. We've got our super weird little cleats going in.
Perfect.
Good morning, everybody. I want to give you guys an update on what we did yesterday. We got 2 courses done on this one, and then 1 course the rest of the way around. We're having to fill in these gaps in between our rafters and such. And we're getting our first bags up on our deck. Deck was a nightmare to build, but it's all nice and flat mostly, and now we're continuing upwards. I make them do that. They swear they're here on their own free will. Don't dump it on the tape measure. All the gravel that's left over from sifting goes into our driveways. All of our big rocks go into the side. All of our dirt goes to the mixer. Very exciting stuff's going in right now. For pretty soon, we're getting our header beams in for our door threshold. We just have 1 more bag to finish up over here. We're getting a cleat in, and then we'll be able to get these railroad tie headers in. Good morning, everybody. We're out here on another day of the Hyperadobe build. As you can see behind me, we got a lot of work done over these last couple days. Haven't been filming a ton, but really excited because we got our door header in, as you can see, and started getting our first layers of bags on top of that. Coming up, you can see we're 3 courses high above the deck. The deck is mostly in. We still got to throw a few screws in there, but pretty solid, which I'm happy about. We got our last header board in for that window, and then pretty soon we're gonna be putting some more windows up in here. So what I was trying to do was drill holes and then drive these rebar spikes into the railroad ties below. We got 2 holes drilled, and then this one has just been a nightmare. So you can see the first one I got here ended up splitting my board here. The second one, we got a drill bit stuck in because I was using a shorter one, like a standard paddle bit, and then like 4 extension things. So we lost paddle bit and 2 extensions in here. Went to Home Depot, got a 15-inch bit. This one's stuck, and so I ended up driving this into the beam below, and we're basically using this as the nail. We do have cleats on each end. We've got 3 nails in, and then this is getting a ton of bag work on top of it. So I'm really not worried about it. It feels rock solid. We are getting very, very high. I don't know exactly what we're at, but starting to get a little vertigo-y. How do you feel, Harry? We're gonna start playing with some stuff, doing some decorative kind of things over the door to really make this threshold impactful. Very excited to keep moving. We're getting to the point where we are 9 feet up in the air and only have a couple more feet to go before the roof gets in. So without any more delay, we are going to get finishing on bags. Got our headers in for the window frame here,
And an important note, we did find a product to actually seal these railroad ties to make them non-toxic, which is really great. One thing that I did not know, put these frames in, was that these frames have creosote in them, which is really bad for interior usage. But as you can see, we've got thousands and thousands of pounds of bags locking these into place. So we are past the point of no return as far as getting these out. So we're just going to make the best of it. Found a product. It's very, very expensive, and we will not be using railroad ties in the future, but we're fairly committed at this point. So I'm going to make the best of it. Did finish up about the deck here. Got all that in. We just need to finish kind of locking it into place. As you can see, we are 3 courses up on the loft here. Fairly soon we'll be switching to 16-inch bags because they're cheaper, less dirt, quicker to get up. We are wrapping up the build day today. We got another course and a half done. Got some cool things going in right now. So got this weird bucket up here. That's eventually going to be some bottle art. Basically, we'll do the bucket over it, or the bags over the bucket, and then pull the bucket out as a form. Fill that with bottles in a cool pattern right over our door frame here. And we got in a few cleats for our electrical outlets. So we're going to have an outlet over here, and then a light switch for the fan and lights and all that fun stuff over here. Another box over here. What we're working on right now is getting 3 more windows in. And so we're getting the frames. I got those all burnt up. We're finishing out sealing them. We're getting our first coat of linseed oil on them. Need to get 4 or 5 coats on them before we actually build the frames, get them in place. But that's the project for tomorrow. We had a tragedy on the build site. Angela went all beast mode and busted our tamper. Alright, our tamper back to life. Just had to cut off the end that was busted, drill that out, that got stuck in there. A couple new nails, some more duct tape. I am genuinely surprised this thing has lasted this long, because it did the entire root cellar over there, and then I think close to 10 feet up here. So we've gotten 3 more windows built, 2 of them in. You can see here, this is going to give a real nice view of the mountains from bed. Another milestone going in. This is our hurricane strapping. We're getting this on the back because we're going to start fairly soonish, 3.5 more feet, tapering this out to get our slope for our roof. Getting 8 of these cut. We're going to run them every foot along our back. We are over our front door entryway bucket aesthetic thingy bobber. If this works, if it does, we'll probably use this instead of doing the individual bottles on the main house. Good morning, everybody. We are back out here at the Hyperadobe build. It's been, I don't know, probably a week and a half to almost 2 weeks off since we've been working on this because our mixer has died, but we brought it back to life, which is really exciting. And today we are getting our last bag before our bond beam in. So we've got one little bag to go up to kind of level stuff out, and then we're going to start on our bond beam. We got our concrete delivered, so that was a fun ordeal. The dude could not back up a trailer, but we got it here, so that was cool. So one of the projects that we've been working on since our mixer was down was starting to get this form built. This is going to be for our kind of little retaining wall thing here, the step down into the kitchen office space. This is just, again, everything in this build is to experiment, see what works, what doesn't work, and just get some learnings for the big house. You can see up here, we are getting our last bag in to level out this one section. And the crew got in a lot of our rebar for our bond beam. So basically these are rebar spikes that are driven down 2 to 3 courses, sticking up just a little bit, and that's going to help tie everything in. All right, so we are putting our bag on for our bond beam. This is going to be an experiment. I haven't seen anybody do this, but this seems a lot easier than actually building a wooden form to go all the way around here. So what we're going to do next is we got a couple little scrap pieces of bag. We've got a sacrificial concrete bag, and we're going to kind of throw that concrete into these little bags to see just how wet we can get it. We will be tamping this, so I think it'll all hold together pretty well. And to be honest, from what I've been told, we really didn't have to do 10% concrete or cement in all these bags anyway, so not super worried about the bond beam on this, but we're doing it to learn because we will need it for the big house.
Turned on? Oh?
Finishing up the day, we got our bond beam in, which is very exciting. It was a lot more work to use just the concrete than it was to do our mix, just because it sticks to the machine really bad. But it's in, very excited. We're gonna do one more half course just to get a little bit of a slope on our roof, and then we're done with bag work, at least until we get our roofing in and start having to mess with the middle sections.
Thank you guys for making it this far in this video. I wanted to go through a few things that we did right and a few things, more importantly, that we did wrong on this build, just in case you're interested in building a Hyperadobe of your own. This, like I said, was our test house. It's a 280 square foot home that we wanted to kind of test a bunch of crazy ideas on and see what worked and what didn't. We had a lot of successes, we had a lot of failures, so let's get into that. First thing, our successes. So, our bags. We used Vuln Company, which I will link in the description below, and their bags have been incredible. We used little over 2 rolls of their 18-inch bags, and through this whole build process, I mean, we had very, very few little sections that kind of came apart. This build is now been sitting here for a year to the day that we started the first set of bags, and they look just as good as the day they came out of the packaging. So you're supposed to get these bags covered within 3 years. That gives us plenty of time to do a build. And really, honestly, we haven't had any issues with them. They've been great, very happy with our bags. The other thing we did that I really like is the round shape of this building. I was a little hesitant. We will still see how it turns out once we actually get into the interior finishing of this building, but the round shape seems very solid. Overall, really happy with this build. Another thing that I really enjoyed, and I think we did right in this, was putting in a lot of our plumbing, conduit, things like that as we went. As much electrical as we could put in as we went. That just made things so much easier. We did end up just kind of pushing through whenever we did put in our hurricane ties, and had to come back and drill those holes out, and that was a nightmare. These walls are rock solid, and so you really want to plan ahead where your vent pipes and plumbing and stuff like that is going to go. I think if I were to do this again, and when I do this in the main house, we will be putting in extra vents and conduit and all kinds of stuff just all over the place, because if I don't use it, I can plaster over it. If I do need it, it's so much easier to deal with once it's in the wall while you're doing bag work, rather than kind of coming back and doing it at the end. Another thing we did right on this was honestly just starting with this. I think it's really good to start with a smaller build to kind of cut your teeth, especially when you're doing something brand new like this was to us, to learn and to accept that, you know, you may suck at something. It's the start, but the more you do it, the better you get. We definitely refined our styles here, getting a second mixer, getting help from our neighbors to sift the dirt, and just find more efficient ways to do this. You know, for sure by the time we got to the top, we were a lot more competent, a lot more confident, and a lot more able to get this done the right way. A couple of the things that I wish we would have done differently. So again, this is our test house. Originally we had built a Hyperadobe dolly that basically the bucket and the tube of bags sits in, and then you're able to just dump and pour. We ended up not using that for most of this build because our bucket kept falling off, and we just kept moving. Now that we've switched to the main house and modified our buckets a little bit, put some handles on those, and I'm finding that our bags are a solid 4-inch thick, perfectly level every time we do it with those Hyperadobe dollies, whereas we just kind of hand bucketed this one, and so there's a lot of waviness in this, a lot of just kind of all over the place. It was a lot harder to get the bags consistent layer by layer without using that dolly. So one thing I would definitely recommend is building one of those Hyperadobe dollies. It makes things so much easier. Continuing on that, we built a custom tamper, and you know, that may be a little bit expensive if you were to have one built, a couple $100, but if you're going to be doing a major build like this, highly recommend getting the custom tamper. The way that I had built ours was in one direction, it fit a 16-inch bag perfectly. In the other direction, it fit an 18-inch bag perfectly. We used both on this build, and it worked great. It was good to have something nice and heavy to compact, and then coming in with the little tamper to kind of really refine some of the details and get everything. This is something we didn't realize until almost the very end of our build, but now that we're using it on the main house build, it's so nice. Another thing that I wish I would have done on this build that I didn't as much is plan better. Just kind of went into this. Originally, this was going to be a restroom and a composting toilet system, but Once we got into the bag work, we pretty well immediately realized that this was way too much work just to be a toilet. So we decided to switch it to our test house and potential, I don't know yet, a storage unit or maybe a workwear eco-resident dwelling. With that, didn't really 3D model this, just kind of planned it as I went, and that's kind of caused some issues in the sense of getting our windows, getting our doors. We're having to purchase a lot of things brand new, which I don't like doing. Feel like if I would have planned it out a little bit more, we would have had more time to buy used windows and things like that. But we are here. This is honestly, to this point, a very inexpensive build, and so I'm not too upset. One of the biggest struggles we had in this build was these bottles. We put the bottles in some PVC piping and duct taped them together to make bottle bricks, instead of cutting them off and actually adhering the two glass ends together, which I think would have been better. But even in the end with that, I would not do the bottles this way again. We had a lot of trouble getting our layers flat, tamping over the bottles breaking. We've had, since this has been here for a year, we've had some bottles fall out that we're gonna have to figure out how to put back in. It was just a nightmare getting the bottles in. That being said, I will be doing bottles again, but doing it in a different way. The other major mistake, and this is probably the worst thing we did on this entire build, was use railroad ties. I would not ever advise using railroad ties really for anything at this point. I am so burned by these things, I don't even want them on the property anymore. So we had watched some other YouTubers that had used railroad ties and had it as interior framing and construction, and so I didn't think anything of it. But if you remember back in the video, once we started cutting those, they put off a lot of smoke. That was actually very toxic. We ended up having to get a product called Creo Shield, which is meant for like old historic buildings that had creosote soaked beams in them, to seal that up and make it a environmentally friendly place that's non-toxic. So that Creo Shield was around $350 for 1 gallon. Luckily, that's all we needed in this build, but that basically wiped out any sort of savings we had as far as like saving money on the railroad ties. I would never use railroad ties ever again. Cost up to this point, we were looking at probably around $5,000 to $6,000. Our bags were around $350 a roll. When we bought them, we used a little over 2 rolls of bags on this, around $700 worth of bags. Probably put a couple $1,000s worth of concrete, cement into our mix. That was not totally necessary with our soil structure, but that's how we learn. So we are still going to be using cement on our underground portion of our main house, but we will not be using it on our above ground portion of our main house. So a couple $100s in the railroad ties, couple $100s in window frames. We still have our roof. That's going to be a very expensive put on because it's 32 feet by 24 feet, and we're going to be doing some pretty heavy duty beams on that. So I think that will probably double the cost of this building. But all in all, I think we are on track to get this done for under $15,000, which is really exciting to have a full home built for under 15 grand. Still have a long way to go on this build. We are getting into phase 2 of this build very shortly. We just finished up our workshop build, so if you haven't checked those videos out, be sure to go check those out. But I'm really excited to be getting our roof on this, getting our exterior, interior plaster done, and doing all the interior finish out work. It's just so much nicer to be working on the inside of a place, especially now that we're in our cold Arizona winters. So be sure to subscribe, be sure to follow along. We have a ton more work to do on this building, and it will be coming to you every single week. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Go build something cool.